Okay, we're going to talk about reviewing for our Voronoi diagram final. Okay, so we got these points. They're all plotted here nicely for us. They want us to calculate the gradient. That means the slope. So our slope formula, you should recall, is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we're trying to find the gradient between A and E. That's these 2 points right there. So this point here has coordinates 3, comma 1, and this coordinate there has 7, comma 3. So the y values, um, so I can do 3 minus 1 divided by 7 minus 3. And that's going to give me 2 over 4. And I want you to simplify that to 1/2. I see too many people that are writing like this, and it's like, we're talking about slope. Just simplify it, please. Okay. Um, let's see if I can autofocus this. Okay, that's a little better. Okay. Calculate the midpoint AE. So to find the midpoint, um, we're going to take the average of the x values, 3 plus 7 over 2, and the average of the y values, 1 plus 3 over 2. And that's going to give me 10 divided by 2 is going to give me 5, and 1 plus 3 is 4 divided by 2 is going to give me 2. So our midpoint is that. So I'm going to put a dot at 5, comma 2. Okay, that's our midpoint. Okay. All right, next part. The park ranger wants to draw some lines for the Voronoi diagram, and there's one part that's incomplete. Find the equation of the line which completes the Voronoi diagram containing part E. So the line that's missing when you look at this diagram is between A and E. You can see that there's a line that's missing. We've got the line between B and E. We have the line between E and C. We have the line between E and D. We don't have the line between A and E. Fortunately, we know the midpoint here is the midpoint is 5, comma 2. So I'm going to put 5, comma 2 right there. That's my midpoint. And we want to find that formula. So we know the slope is equal to the slope between A and E is 1/2. So that means my perpendicular slope for A and E is going to be the reciprocal and the opposite sign, so -2. So it's going to be going like that. So I'm going to use that slope. We're going to use the point 5, comma 2, and I can write y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. Okay, I'm going to replace m with -2, x with 5, and y1 with 2. Okay, replacing with that, and we know our slope is -2. Okay, and so now we can finish this out. So distributive property with that -2, we've got y minus 2 equals -2x plus 10. Right, negative times negative gives me positive. Okay, and then next we need to add 2 on both sides of the equation. And then I've got y equals -2x plus 12. Okay. And the next question, in the context of the question, examine the significance of the Voronoi cell containing E. So basically what I've said is that all of the space in the cell containing site E is closer to E than any other site. You might want to hit pause to write this down. Okay, and lastly for this question, I want to draw the missing part of the Voronoi diagram. So it goes through this dot right there, which is 5, 2, and I've got a slope of -2. That means I'm going to go down 2 over 1. In this direction, I can go up 2 over 1. So I'm going to connect these red dots here, but it's only going to really connect between the dotted lines, because our Voronoi diagram only goes between the dotted lines. I don't continue it beyond so like I'm not going to continue these dotted lines because they're really close to A, right? Now, they didn't ask you to do this, but if I wanted to draw the boundary line between A and B, halfway between 5 and 1 is going to be right there. And that's a horizontal line. So that horizontal line is going to be, it's going to go this way. And as you can see, they meet there at, and then here, this is going to go down like that. Right? Okay, let's go on to the next question. Okay, so we've got some points. They want you to plot them. I've already done this, so I'm just going to show you. Okay, so we've got these points that we've plotted. I'm just going to walk through this one. You might want to hit pause when you want to copy something down. Okay, sketch the Voronoi diagram. Okay, the king has 4 kilometers, and he's going to divide this land amongst 4 children. Okay, to put their luxury palace. Okay, each child owns the land that is near to their palace, owns all the land that is nearest to the palace. So all of the space in this dotted line belongs to this child. It's probably a spoiled brat, but that's a different story, unrelated to this question here. Okay, the king now has a 5th child. Wah! Okay, and that child is going to grow up and needs, we're going to put the palace for that child at 2, 2. Okay? And so now we need to sketch the new Voronoi diagram. So halfway between this dot and this dot, you can kind of tell, just from the picture, it's going to be right there. Okay? Because this goes over 4 and up 4. So I would go over 2 and up 2. And it's the same symmetrical distance. I didn't even need to use my calculator. I could just do it graphically from the grid lines. Okay? So the shape of this child's land makes a square. It's diagonally, but if you look at it like this way, you can see that it's a square. Okay. Find the area of the youngest child's land. Okay. So what I did is I figured out this area right here. Okay. This is the triangle that I just drew here. And we know that the length from here to here, that has a length of 1 unit. And this has a length of 1 unit. So if this is 1 and that's 1, then I can figure out this diagonal length I'm calling x. That length here, I can use Pythagorean theorem. 1 squared plus 1 squared is equal to x squared. And then I know that this length right here is the square root of 2. Now, area of this square that's right here is length times width, right? So the area of any square is length times width. So so we know that this length here is x, and that length here from there to there is also x. So we know x is square root 2. So I've got square root 2 times square root 2. The area of that space there is 2. Okay. You might want to hit pause if you want to copy this down. Okay. Find out how much land an older child has lost. So an older child has lost this amount of land, the orange amount. So each child, so the area of a triangle. So originally, the older children owned that's not correct. This from there to there. Oh yeah, that's okay. From there to there is 2, and from there to there is 2. So originally the older child had 4 kilometers, but they didn't ask about that, did they? How much land has the older child lost? So we need to figure out. We know a triangle here. We've got our is base 1/2 base times height. Our base is 1, and our height is 1 of this orange triangle. That's the amount of land that the older child has lost. So 1/2 base times height, 1 times 1. So each child has lost 1/2 a kilometer squared. Okay, so so we know that this new child has got an area of 2 kilometers. The older children originally had 4 kilometers squared, right? So they originally had 4 kilometers squared, but they've lost 1/2 a kilometer. So now the new amount that the older children has, this new amount, I'm just highlighting in blue. This new area is 3.5. So the older children all own more land than the youngest baby. The older children all have 3.5 kilometers squared, whereas the baby, now has only 2 kilometers. So that's how it goes sometimes, baby. All right. So next question. Okay. Annie owns 4 cafes, A, B, C, D, and wants to divide the area into regions. So the midpoint of C and D is um, 5.5, 1.5. Okay. Show that the equation of the perpendicular bisector is this. So they've told you the equation of this line here, which is the perpendicular bisector of C and D, is this equation. So we know our midpoint. We need to figure out the slope. So the slope between C and D is equal to, okay, so this coordinate here of C is 7, 2, and for D, the coordinate is 4, 1. Okay? So the slope between those, I'm going to call it 2 minus 1 divided by 7 minus 4, and that's going to give me 1 over 3. Okay, so if that's the slope between here and here, the perpendicular slope of CD is equal to the reciprocal, which is 3 over 1, and if this is positive, this is going to be negative. There are so many people in class that just write randomly 1/3, -3, randomly somewhere on the page, and without writing any of that, and it's like which one's the slope? Oh, Mr. Myers, you should guess. I'm not going to tell you. No, that's not okay. So you need to identify what the slope is, and if it's the perpendicular slope for the perpendicular bisector, put the upside down t. Otherwise, people are not going to know what you do, and you're going to make the IB grader cry when they are trying to grade your test, and I don't want to cause any harm for those people. Okay, so we're going to use this midpoint here. So, and I'm going to use the slope, -3. Okay, let's solve this now. Okay, so y minus 1.5 equals -3 parentheses x minus 5.5. Okay, so I can simplify that a little further now. We're going to do distributive property with a -3. -3 times -5.5 is positive 16.5. Okay, now I'm going to add 1.5 to both sides, and then I get y equals -3x plus 18. I've just shown this show. There we go. All right. Complete the Voronoi diagram. Okay, so what's missing here? We need a line between A and D. So this is at 1, 1, and this is at 4, 1. So I need to draw a line halfway between there, and it's going to be halfway between 1 and 4. I'm going to go this way 1.5 units. So 1, 1.5. Okay, so I'm going to draw this line. What color should I use? I'll just use this. No, I'll use purple. Now, there are so many people who don't know what the equation of this line is. Okay, so this new line is going to be, its x has to be equal to 2.5. Okay, there is no y value because the slope is infinite. Since the slope is undefined, then that means there's no y-intercept. So many people in class don't seem to get the idea that the equation of the vertical line equals x.2.5. I hope you make a special note if you were not able to do that on the individual test. Okay, Annie wants to open a new office, equal distance for the cafes. The equation of the perpendicular bisector for BC is this value. Okay, so the perpendicular for bisector I've highlighted in pink. Here is B and C. That's my perpendicular bisector. Okay, so I want to figure out where these lines intersect. Okay, so to figure out where those lines intersect, I'm going to make these two equations equal to each other. So we're going to make y equals -3x plus 18, and we're going to have the other equation, 3y equals 2x minus 1.5. We're going to make these equal to each other. I'm just going to show you how to do it. I could do it algebraically and with the calculator. Let's do it algebraically. All right, let's do it with the calculator. Okay, because we've got a lot to do here in this assignment. So I'm going to divide everything by 3. And so now I've got y equals 2/3 x minus 1.5 divided by 3. Okay. If you're going to type this into your calculator, you really need to put parentheses here. Okay. So, using my calculator, let's do this. So, okay. So you're going to press y equals, and then you're going to type in the first equation, y equals negative 3x plus 18. And then the other equation is going to be y equals 2x minus 1.5 divided by 3. 1.5 divided by 3 is equal to 0.5. Okay. Okay. So this is the pink equation. This is the blue equation. Okay. So we've typed that into, oh, it didn't save it. What the heck? 3x plus 18, parentheses 2 divided by 3, close parentheses, x minus 0.5. Okay, I've got the two equations. And now I'm going to hit second and trace. And then I'm going to hit 5 for intersect. Okay. And now, oh, I need to change my window. Okay. So to get the window looking good, I'm going to say zoom 6. I'm just going to write a note here. Zoom 6 for standard window. You might need a standard window. Make a note of that if your window is not very good. So now I can see my graph much better now that I've hit zoom 6. Okay, we want to find the, so it's second trace. Second trace. We're going to hit 5 for intersect. First curve, it's got the first equation. I hit enter. Second curve, it's got the second equation. I hit nothing except for enter. It says guess. I hit enter again. So you're going to hit enter. 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 And then it tells me that the intersection is 5.05, comma 2.86. Okay, and that is the intersection. Okay, find the distance of the new office to Cafe D. Okay, so this new office right there and Cafe D, I'm going to use the distance formula, but I just want to show you something real quick. You don't necessarily need to draw the circle, but I'm doing it just because I love circles. And I just wanted to show you that if you look at here, the circle goes through D, C, and B. I could figure out the distance from this new office to any of those points to figure out that distance. But I'm going to use D because that's what they want me to use. And D is at 4, 1. The new point is at 5.05, 2.86, and I can use the distance formula, and I've plugged in those 2 points, and there's my distance. You might want to hit pause to copy this down, and I'll do the other questions in a second video.